Hello, Hannah. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. It's great to talk to you.
It's very great to speak with you. I absolutely loved this weird film. Thank you so much for making something like this.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, now I'm so interested in your background in horror films. Was this something you liked growing up, and what were some of your favorites when you were growing up?
Well, actually, I'm the kind of person who has always been afraid of horror films. And because I have so strong imagination that every time I saw some horror film, I started to imagine all kind of imaginary monsters living in my wardrobe. And that is something I wanted to put into the film, this kind of childhood memory of a girl having a monster in
Oh,
her wardrobe. And but but because I've always been afraid of horror films, I've also been very interested in telling stories about fear. And I must say now that when I grow up and a filmmaker, I really find horror films very intriguing. And as a filmmaker, it's a great genre because in
mhm.
horror films, for example, some feeling that is inside the character can get an external form. So therefore, I've kind of grown to like horror films, and some of my favorites are, for example, well, one of the biggest favorites is The Others by Amenabar, and that is very kind of beautiful film and tells kind of
Yes.
dramatic story in the horror genre.
Yeah, you found a good way of telling a very real, serious story, but in a fantasy body horror way. What else inspired you when like crafting your ideas for this?
Uh, yeah, that was something we with a screenwriter Ilya Rautsi, with whom we kind of developed
Mhm.
the whole story. So that was something we discussed, that we want to tell a real about real feelings and dramatic story, just using the horror
Yeah.
elements in it. And as inspiration, we didn't take so much inspiration out of other films when we were designing the script, but one thing I really wanted for the creature of this film, I wanted it to have a physical presence. And I
Mm,
had always admired films like E.T. or old Cronenberg films where there are kind of practical effects. And
yes.
so then I really wanted to have this kind of animatronic puppet to play our monster. And we really got the best possible person to make it, because I uh, I actually Googled that who is the best animatronic designer in the world, and found Gustav Högen, who has done the Star Wars and
Yes.
Jurassic World and Prometheus. So I contacted him, and his team made this wonderful creature for us.
Well, that Well, that leads perfectly into my next question. You directed something that started out as a puppet in this film, which then evolved into a more real thing. How was that directing such an important part of the film through different stages of filmmaking?
Yeah, I mean, it was super demanding, but also because of that, it was great fun as well. And there was a lot going on in the shootings, because when we had the puppet, it was five puppeteers around it moving the puppet with rods, and it was so technical. It required multiple takes, and
Mm,
then we had to do a huge special effect makeup for the actors in
yes.
later stages, and then. I contacted Conor O'Sullivan, who has two Oscar nominations. He has done Saving Private Ryan and The Dark Knight and uh, and Game of Thrones. So his team created this wonderful special effect makeups for us, and then we had some VFX by U Media too. So it was really a teamwork of many people
Mhm.
to create this monster, and they all did wonderful work.
It's absolutely amazing work. Some of my favorite practical effects I've seen in a film in quite some time. Now, I love foreign horror films. I've seen horror movies from all over Europe and Asia, but I don't know much about Finnish horror films. How do you think that hatching Phil fits into the world of Finnish horror films? And is there any I should watch?
Well, well, there is very few Finnish horror films.
Mhm.
Actually, we have been a country for some reason. We have basically made drama or comedy or something, not horror films, and that is weird because I think we are quite kind of moody and dark by nature. I think so. I think horror films really fit for Finnish mentality. So now there are more horror films hopefully coming up from Finland in the future. But one thing I would recommend, it's an old classic film. Maybe you can kind of find it in Amazon or somewhere. It's called The White Deer. It was made in the 50s and won award in Cannes, and that is kind of old classic, beautiful old horror film, and I really recommend any horror fans to watch it.
Well, if anything like your horror movie you've made, I think this recommendation would go very well. Hanna, thank you so much for speaking with me today. I love this movie. I can't wait till more people see your weird, twisted vision.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hope you have a good day.